Good morning, Sassy Nation! I did that just for Shalada because she said that I needed to sound like I was doing it from Good Morning Vietnam, you know, the movie with Tom Hanks. Anyway, good morning, Sassy Nation. It is Sunday, uh, August 14th. Can you believe we're here now? We are now at August 14th. I know we had talked about this a few months back. Oh, the summer's going to be here before we know it, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? We're almost at the end. But good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. I hope that you guys are having a fabulous Sunday morning. So, what are we going to talk about? Now, if you notice, I'm at the desk because we're going to do something slightly different this morning. I was live with Condi on Friday. Uh, I was live with Gandhi on Friday and reading the comments. And one of the questions that came up is, Nikki, what is this illusion design you're talking about, right? What is an illusion design? Because you guys are going to struggle with the piecing and the board method and what in the world are you talking about? So let's talk about what an illusion design is. So while we're not going to be pressing a full towel today, I'm going to show you on the computer kind of what I'm talking about, the thought process behind it. Then we're going to head over to the heat press and then we're going to actually bring, our idea to life, if you will. This is something that I haven't done very often, but I figured I needed you guys to have a visual. And I want to say a huge shout out to Bobby for saying, hey, Nikki, can we talk about this a little bit more in depth? Absolutely. I'm here for it. So here you go. An illusion design is for me, and it could be different from every person, right? So what's an illusion design? An illusion design is to give it the view of being almost a full bleed without being a full bleed. I'm going to show you a couple of examples of what I mean by filling in all the space, but yet you didn't have to fight to get there. And when I show you some of the things that I have pressed, you're going to go, what in the world did you do? Let me explain, Lucy, let me explain. So we're going to work on some Corel stuff. I'm going to show you where I think of and all that. Let me get to that screen, if you will. But first and foremost, I got to thank the ladies behind the helm. These beautiful ladies right there. That would be Jess, Jody, Cheyenne, and my sister Amanda. So good morning, ladies. Make sure you guys say good morning to them because without them, this sass is not possible. They answer your questions. This way I'm not reading comments and constantly focusing on that. And they're helping with links that I may provide, all of that kind of stuff. So without them, it is not possible. And I am forever grateful to have such an amazing team that stands behind me. And actually, they don't stand behind me. They stand beside me because we are a team here. So good morning to the ladies of the sass. I am very much, as you guys know, I love to show them off. I will tell you, go that way. Miss Jessica has been with me doing the sass for 3 years now. So mad props to Jess for that. We added in Jody about 2 years ago, Cheyenne this year, and my sister, well, she's been with me since the beginning of time. So she has had to deal with all the things crazy that we have here. So good morning to those beautiful ladies right there. Let me get to what I call the illusion design. Let's get that screen up there. So here are some examples of what I call an illusion design. Now, that looks pretty busy, and what you don't realize is that it's done in pieces so that I could be successful, so that I wasn't going to have to piece it together. That I could sit there and I could put all these pieces in there and it looks full, it looks rich, right? And while it's not technically a full bleed, which means it doesn't go over the edge like we do with our blank or with our towels, this is about as close as you're gonna get without having to piece it all together. And we're gonna talk about how you could add different things to your design that can give it that faux look as well. Okay, yes. Beginning of her time, exactly. Sorry, I got distracted. Let me show you another one. So this one, again, is another one. That, believe it or not, is two, let's see. So you have your top corner piece. That's one piece of the design. So the 4 corners are 4 individual pieces. Then I went through and put the Gabriel and the little cute design in the center. So there's 2 in there, right? So again, you have what looks to be a full bleed, sort of, but it's not. Here's the design that literally, I will have to tell you, I was feeling my oats today when I did this one right here. That one. That design right there, because nothing truly lines up the way you think it should. And I had to literally go in and go, how in the world are you going to do this? And believe it or not, I did piece together my elephant. So my elephant and baby elephant are pieced together. That was the only piece, I shouldn't say that. So my elephant and my baby elephant are pieced together, and the top and the bottom border are also pieced together. But everything else, the wording you see there, literally was just pieces to a puzzle that I laid out in Corel and made sure that I cut it properly, that I wasn't going to cut it on a word, because lining up words is probably the hardest thing. And you're lining it up on fabric. So let's add insult to injury here, right? You are trying to piece together something that's not on a hard substrate, that's going to shift if you move it. While yes, you can still use the board method, absolutely. This particular one was definitely a challenge for me, but I worked it. I mean, how gorgeous is that? And again, it gives you the illusion that I did a full-on one-piece press and one-piece print, and I didn't. That was multiple pressings there, and I pushed the limits of my creativity to press that right there. It is gorgeous. And I gotta tell you, I learned a lot from pressing that blanket, and that's where I was like, you know what? I need to develop the illusion method and show you guys how I go about it. So now let's get up to, which one do I want to do? Oh no, we're still on the screen. Somewhere. There it is. I'll get there eventually. Okay, so let me get to where I need to be. We're going to talk about another thing as well. So hold on one second, please. That's what happens when you're trying to be multitasking. And there you go. Welcome to my Corel screen. So as you can see, I have some elements on there. I have the towel that we're going to work in. Don't worry. But I want to show you how I've tricked your eye in other designs to help you feel successful. And it didn't have anything to do with being a full bleed or anything that was huge. You remember that tumbler? So as you guys know, I struggled with tumblers. It was one of the things I struggled with the most in anything that I've done in my career here in sublimation. You guys watched the catastrophe happen, right? But do you guys remember what I did? We were struggling when these first came out and we were putting them in the tumbler or in the convection oven. We were struggling with that top, the top and bottom bleed. It would show some off gassing. It didn't. The pressure wasn't correct. We had pressure issues around the top and the bottom. So what did I do? I created the illusion, right? I added it into the design. You guys were here for it because you're like, oh, I could finally feel successful and this wasn't going to be a struggle. And I added those elements to the top and the bottom. I made it look like it was supposed to be a part of the design so that even if you didn't have even pressure on the top and the bottom, it didn't matter because I incorporated it into that design. For me, that's the mark of a decent designer who can look at it and go, you know what? My people are struggling. I'm struggling. How can we still make this work and still feel successful? Because once you feel successful in doing something like a tumbler like this, you get a little bit more, you get confident in what you're doing. And then you're like, okay, you know what? Maybe I don't need that illusion on the top and the bottom. Maybe I needed to perfect this part of the process, whatever it may be. You're taping, you're sealing, of your shrink wrap. Maybe you got a tumbler press and that made life easier, right? This has been a journey with all of us, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to show you, even as a newbie or as a seasoned sublimation person, how we can be successful even on the new things and how we struggle. And that was what I wanted to show you, and that was a huge break in how we do everything when it came to sublimation, how to create that design. Okay. So there is that. Let's go over to this towel right here. Again, as you guys can see, I filled in the spaces. Now I could fill them in further. Absolutely I could. I could make them so they were a little bit bigger. These designs right here, I believe, are 16 by, I think they're 16 by, I filled the 16 by 13 inch space. All right, so I filled it in so that I can lay this out on my towel, and I will lay them out the way you're seeing them here. Why? Because I want to kind of fill in the spaces. Now, I could get even more creative. I could add a watercolor background to it, and I'm going to show you a couple of different things that you can do to add in those elements that you just didn't realize were there. So let's back it up a second. So what do I do when I'm creating an illusion design? I'm going to sit there and I'm thinking, okay, how big is my printer? Step one. Step two, how big is my press? Maybe I don't want to do that crazy board method, right? So how do I feel successful? Well, I will create a box and fill the box. But I will tell you, be careful of how you fill said box. So for an example, when I'm filling a box, you see how it cut off all of these details? You're like, well, now it's going to create a hard edge. How do you get rid of that hard edge, right? So in Corel, and I don't know what other photo programs you use, but for me, for Corel, I can edit with inside the box. So I know that for this, I want that rose to kind of hang off, but I don't want this side because it depends on where it is. So for an example, the subber goes on the right-hand side of the blanket. So I'm going to shift this so you see the full part of the flower. So it's in the center of the blanket. I'm not creating any harsh edges. This I'm going to create a harsh edge on, and that's the flowers, the flower grouping. Why? Because it's going to hang off the side of the towel. So I'm creating harsh edges on one side versus another, right? Now, that's for one side. Now I'm going to just copy and paste this real quick because I didn't do a second square here. So I'm going to take that out of it. Now here's the other side of it. I'm going to power clip it inside. Again, I've created a harsh edge. I want to go in and I want to edit it. I want to take this whole thing and just shift it, right? So that there is no harsh edge on that side. So when I go to line these up, and yes, they're going to be one's higher than the other because that's the way I want it on the blanket, I'm going to get rid of my outline. As you can see, I created that harsh edge on either side. It's going to hang off the side of my blanket. But if you notice, I have all these beautiful soft edges on the inside. It creates the illusion of that I'm doing more of a full bleed, right? Full bleed doesn't necessarily have to have a background to it. I'm going to bring in another piece of the puzzle here. Give me 1 second. Grab my image that I want. Yep, that's the one I want. So for an example, I have this guy right here. Now I could piece him together to fit that space, all right? But if you notice, he has a harsh edge to him. He has this absolutely harsh edge. And you don't want the harsh edge because, again, it's not going to work for you when you're creating an illusion, right? So you want to make sure that when you're bringing in different elements and different designs, you have it to where there's not a harsh edge. So then I went back in and I moved that watercolor down. So now I have a soft edge. I'm going to show you what it looks like if I were to put it in this towel design. Yes, I would have to piece together this right here, right? We're going to copy and paste that a couple times, just to you would honestly space it and size it to make sure that it was where it needed to be in your program. Okay. But again, there's what it looks like to have a full illusion, right? You think that I've gone in and I've made this full bleed, but in reality, I would cut this all in half in my program. And then what I would do is piece it together and then double press it like we have. But this is where you're going to want to use the board method, and this is where you're going to want to use the piecing method as well. But it's a little more forgiving because I'm not having to sit here and line up in between here like I did when I was live with Bo, right? I added a gap in there, but because there's this beautiful watercolor, it kind of flows. I need to have that illusion. Now, I could bring this up a little higher if I wanted to. Again, you're creating an illusion when it comes to that. People aren't going to realize it's not full bleed. They're just going to see an absolutely stunning design. That's the part of where you can go to a designer, all right? And find a designer that's going to like hear you out. Saying, like for an example, you can come to me and say, Nikki, I want to do a beach towel. I want to use these elements. Here's the size of my printer. Here's the size of my press. I am not successful at piecing. Can you make it look as full bleed as you possibly can with what I have? And how can we make this happen? What I would do is I would lay it all out, give you the map, show you the grid of how it should lay out. And then this way, when you're printing everything off, you can visually see how I mapped it out. And then this way, you're more successful. Sure, the design may cost just a couple dollars more for me to go in and actually map it out for you, but isn't it worth it to map it out for an extra dollar or two so that you are successful as a printer? Absolutely it is. Stuff like that is where you can be the most successful. So if we go in and we take that, I mean, how gorgeous would that design be as a towel? And it doesn't have to require a lot of effort. So for this particular design, you're piecing and you're going to want to use the board method because this is 30 inches wide. So you're going to want to use that board method. Set yourself up for the success you want to have. All right. So now we're going to go back and this will be the design we are going to go work on right here over at the heat press. As you can see in this design by those squares, there's 8 of them. All right. But for the sake of this tutorial, I only printed off 4 so that we are going to use the back side of that towel that we did with Condi so that you guys could just see it. You could see what we did come to life. I'm going to head over to the comments real quick and make sure there's nobody who's asking me any crazy questions. And show you something before I hop off the computer. So here we go. Let me just see what's going on. No, I can't. They're asking me if I can move my mic. The problem is I can't move my mic. So I apologize if it's muffled. Let me see if I can flip it to the outside. I don't even know. I can't move my mic, Shy. There we go. It looks ridiculous right there. I need something to hang it on. I think that's what I'm going to have to do is get like a lanyard or something. So I apologize. So is that better at all before we keep going? There we go. Okay. I'm working on this mic issue. I'm going to put it on some sort of a chain because I hate it right here. I feel like it's right here next to my vocal cords. So there you go. Any questions so far? Does this make sense to you guys? This is the opportunity for you guys to ask me in the comments section where I'm actually going to be able to pay attention and I can help you just with this portion right here before we head over there. I do have a new camera angle. I showed it off on Condi, and then that way you guys can see things a little bit better. Yes, the mic does travel with me, so you shouldn't have any problems hearing me. But are there any questions in there before we go? Ladies, have they been asking any questions and I'm just not seeing them? Maybe not. Hope you guys understand what this is. Now let's go over to the towel itself. Let's press it. Let's show you what it looks like in the reels, and then this way you guys get a better idea. Sometimes it's easier to see on the screen and you're thinking, how do I still make this work and have it be on my towel, right? So there's that. Thank you. Thank you, Jody, for commenting, because I was like, nobody's commenting. You guys are just so intrigued, right? Like I said, I want to set you guys up for the most success I could possibly set you guys up for. And it's one of those things that I want you guys to feel proud of what you're doing. Being frustrated is just not where it's at. This is why methods are developed. This is why I go through and I help you guys, because I would rather show you my mass subs, and then you could say, okay, so she said X, Y, and Z, right? And then that's how we are successful. So let's head over to the other camera. Let's get this party started. Let's turn that off, and there we go. Let's walk. Okay, so welcome to that new camera angle I was telling you guys about, and my beverage. No, it's not alcohol. It is definitely water. All right, so press the front or the back first of your double-sided, or we're just soaking it all up, takes away from the anxiety. Oh, clip to the side of your cap. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, we're here for it. That looks ridiculous. Hold on. You guys are helping me with the placement of this damn mic. Okay, does that work any better? Somebody let me know in the comments section if that works any better. I hope so. Wow, there's a lot of you on this morning. You guys were here for it this morning. Holy Toledo. Welcome, welcome. Thanks, guys, for making my Sunday morning a happy one. So thank you for that. Let's get out of here. Let's get on the good old... There we go. All right, so you guys are going to see all of my comments. So sounds good? Perfect. All right. Thank you, Evelyn. Clear instructions. Perfect. All right. So you guys know I don't have my glasses on, so I can't really read unless it's like right here. All right. So you guys saw me do this right here. Look in the little kind of camera, right? You guys saw me do this. You watched me struggle. I did show you could press on the other side. So let's get to where this looks. First things first, we protect our investment. I am not going to piece this. I'm not going to double press it in the sense of I'm not going to use my board. I know. It's okay. So I literally want to show you what it's like to not have to piece it, not have to use the board. It is already pre-pressed because I've pressed this once already. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to lay this out to where this fits my platen. Again, I made the design so that it would fit the space. I would make sure, where's my clips for a second? While I'm talking, I need to use my clips. Ugh, come on, work for me. It won't work. Okay. I don't want this to fall off. That's the point. I don't want it to fall off. Okay. So I decided to take my design and literally work with what I had. Okay. Stick back there for a second. Okay. Work with what I had. I didn't want to have to fight it. So I have two designs. I have one that says Sassy and one that says Subber. Now, when I did this design, as you can see, there's that harsh edge we were talking about. That harsh edge is going to hang off the side of my my towel. Okay, I knew that going in because I made my design. The towel is 30 inches. I made my design space 32 inches because fabric is wonky. All right, I could add in and make it a 31, but you know what? I could still be off. So I made it 32, giving myself 16 inches of design space. Now, the width was completely up to me. I took that and said, okay, I have X number of inches to work with. I did 62. So in theory, I should have 5, right? But I made them a little bit bigger so that I could go with more of a 4, all right? Now, I could cut this, which we're going to. Well, I'd say we could. Do you have to is the question. Nope. Do you have to be perfect on this cut? No. Okay. So because again, I allowed myself the grace that I deserve. I deserve grace. Okay. I deserve some peace of mind to know that I could be successful. Let me go grab that butcher paper because Lord knows I'm going to drop this. Okay. Now, we're going to lay this out. You have this all laid out the way you want it to. You have it on the edge. Now, I know I'm not going to be off the top edge of my design. And a good pro tip is print out your map first. I know what it looks like on my computer. But for you guys, as this is new, print out your map. Have it sitting there. Print it out in your regular printer. And also, another pro tip, mirror said map. Because when you're looking at the map, you're going to look at it the way you're going to be laying it out, right? So you want to make sure that it looks correct. All right. Now, because when you first, and you can mirror out too, if you, or print out too. So I'm going to look at it. Okay, I know this. When I flip it over, it's now no longer mirrored. I'm going to lay this right here. I'm going to go off the edge. And this is going to drive you all nuts. When I tell you this, I'm not taping it down. Okay? I'm going to get it nice in underneath my... I know for a fact it will fit because this design is smaller than my heat platen. But it's large enough to fill the paper of a 13 by 19 sheet. Not taping it. Don't have heart failure. Okay? Oh, you know what? That's going to be an issue. This happens when you use the board method. I didn't test it before. You know what? Before... Hold on. I forgot that the last thing I used on here was the board. And, you know, I don't need to have that be another disaster. So make sure that you remember what your pressure is. Especially if you're like me and you've been doing other things. Oh, she's beautiful right there. Okay. So, back to what we were talking about. Take this. Lay it here. Lay it just slightly off your towel. Again, this way you won't have to worry about having it be any white showing along that edge. This is why you map it out. And drop it down. That's it. That's it. Now, while that's doing her thing, we're going to go over here. We're going to cut this edge because, again, it's that straight edge. This way I know exactly where it's going to go falling off the other side. Also, another thing, because this design is going to meet up with this design here, and I want it to be a little bit askew, I could go in and cut in around here just so that I know where it's going to lay. That's just something that I do. What you guys want to do is completely up to you. But this way I know where I can nest it because it's pretty much what you're doing is you're nesting your design within your design space, right? On your substrate here. So just nest it in. So I could go through and do the sassy one all the way down the side of the towel. And then I could go through and do the subber side on the other side, which is perfectly acceptable. But for me, because I gotta be crazy, we are going to work with both sides going one side towards the other. So we will have to put down more butcher paper on the bottom. And the reason being is because this is a full bleed towel on the back side, it's going to off gas and it can create an issue. So we have that piece done. We're going to lay down our clean piece of butcher paper. We're going to lay down our towel again. This time we're going to shift it over. This is where the board method would help if you so choose, because you can clip your towel to the board, and then this way you're just sliding it over. You're not having to reposition it. You've got enough butcher paper on your board. But for those people who are a little bit, nervous about the board, we don't want to be nervous. We want you guys to be successful. Okay. So now I'm going to lay this all on here. Now, I know I want this to be slightly shorter than this. Now, you see where I have this and it's nested down underneath. I want this to come up just ever so slightly, but I want it to be off the edge of my paper. And I want it to drop down lower. Again, the illusion is to fill in as much of the white spaces as you can. So once you map out the top row, you'll know where to map out the rest of your blanket. Again, you have your map to also help you. So I'm off the edge here. Let's get that butcher paper out because that's not quite where I want it. Okay. Hold on, my butcher paper is not exactly underneath my print here, and that could be a problem. We don't want future problems. Okay, so I am leaving a white space at the top. I have nested this within here by cutting this out. It lets me know how close I am to this other design without actually hitting it. And when you see how close I am, you're going to go, now I'm getting it. I've got this over here so that it goes off the edge of the towel, because again, I want the illusion like I'm doing a full bleed. Get my top paper. Oop, nope, that's got some off-gassing on it. Hold, please. Again, this is probably where that board would have been very helpful for me. Okay. So let's put this on here. Everything's where it needs to be. It's okay that it does get double pressed on this one side. It doesn't cause any issues that I have found on this particular towel, or any towel really that I've found. So let's drop this down. Now that we're creating this path, we're creating it to where they're kind of intermingling with each other without actually hitting each other. I'm doing them as separate presses, but once I show you at least 4 of them together, you guys will see, oh, that's what she's talking about. It's not creating straight lines. The more you curve it, the more you add a little bit of movement to it, it catches the eye less that it's straight lines going right across. It's the same old, same old. This helps with the illusion of the full bleed. What type of press do you have? So this one is a Fancier Studio, 16 by 20. It's a very inexpensive one. I will tell you, I have 3 Fancier Studio ones now. Back at Christmas time, my heat press from Heat Press Nation, it died. Literally in the height of my busiest season. With supply chain issues, it was hard for me to be able to get one in time. So, Fancier Studio, because I had that's what my little guy is. My little guy is a 15 by 15, and God, she's gorgeous. I will show this to the camera because honestly, this is beautiful. So, I got this one, going back to the heat press, I got this one. It's about $400. You can buy them on Amazon, and you can also buy them through Fancier Studio. It is the landscape version. I wasn't sure I was going to like the landscape, but it has grown on me, especially because I'm short. And so trying to reach back those 20 inches to get to my panel was a little bit hard. So being that it's only 16 inches, it's a little easier for me. Let's show you so far where we're at. Look at that. So far, as you can see, I came really close. And yes, I want it to be height difference. I intentionally did it this way for my design. All right. But if you notice, it goes off the edge on both sides. Okay, so we're getting there. Let's add some more butcher paper. I'm going to grab a couple this time. All right, let's put that butcher paper down. Now we're going to go on to the next one. That's the next spot on this towel. So, lay it down. Again, this is why the board method can help you. So now I know that this is where Sassy needs to go. That's where Subber is, right? Hand. Let's get that second print. So now I have this print. This is what says Sassy on it. I know I'm going to go to the bottom edge or cut this edge off. Now, again, go in if you want and just cut out some of this, you know, excess waste. One, it helps for just laying it all out, okay? So now I know where it's going to hit. So now I have this, and I can have it come right up to the edge of where this Sassy is. I know it's not going to hit this design because this design actually sits lower than this one. We're going to scoot this bad boy up. Okay. Have it come off the towel slightly. Okay. We're going to add our butcher paper as it dropped on the floor, but that's okay. We're going to put this right in underneath that platen. A little bit more. There we go. And drop it down. So I've created a jagged effect so that this way it helps for when it's all being laid out, right? You want to be successful. And this is the only way I could teach you to be as successful as possible, where you don't have as much frustration that you can have. Sorry, I got to clean up this mess because it's driving me insane. Thank you. Again, huge shout out to Bobby for saying, Nikki, can you please elaborate on this process? Because it is a process. So, baby blankets are a huge deal for us. With a baby blanket, again, you could go all the way around the border, but create gaps within the design. And if you're using florals, for an example, it's super easy to do, like what I'm doing here. Use the raw edge of that to just make sure that you didn't create a harsh edge. And again, one of the best things about working with a graphics designer is you form a relationship with that graphics designer. They will help you be as successful as they possibly can so that you guys are not floundering, right? We don't want that. We want you guys to come back to us. We want you guys to be, you know, confident in the process and say, hey, can you make this for me? I'm a huge proponent of that. So now we're going to come in here. We're going to lay down the next one. Remember, I only said I was going to do 4 of these just so you guys could get the idea of what it is. And I decided just to use the back side of this towel because we don't want to waste around here, especially if we're just learning, right? Learning, sometimes you can use the back side of your towel that you get from Condi. And this is a great learning tool. Lets you know, one, how's it going to off gas? It's going to let you know how to press it, lay it out, map it out, all of that beautiful stuff. So now we're going to just cut this edge off. We're going to come in here and I'm going to go in and around that flower like I did in the last one because I want to know how close I can get that flower to the next flower, right? Again, I created a harsh edge so that I knew that it would go off the side of my towel. I'm going to set this so that it sets just like where the other one is. At least that's the hope. We're going to move this up just a slight touch. We're going to make sure it's off the edge. And there we go. Let's add that butcher paper to the top. We're protecting investments around here. We drop it like it's hot because we know what it is. I know you missed me saying that. Somebody mentioned I haven't said that in a while. So there you go. You drop it like it's hot because it is. So again, this is a process. You can't just go in and print a huge design if you have a small press. You're going to end up doing multiple pressings. Now, can you use like the big Epson printers and print it off as all one sheet? Sure you can. Good luck with that. Here's why. Because you're going to end up shifting that design. You don't have a big enough press. Now, if you have a big enough press, you lay it out, good, you're golden. As you can see with that big design, you're going to be crinkling your paper. You're going to have to make sure that's taped down. And the only problem I'm having with this, it's going to crinkle in underneath the paper. It doesn't matter if your edges are taped down or not. You can use some Condi Pro Spray, spray the entire thing, lay your towel down. But again, it's only a repositionable spray. So after a ton of movement, it's going to let go. That's what it's supposed to do. So if you can, do it in steps. It's going to make you, God, that is so gorgeous. I am loving this teal. If you guys, I know it looks like probably blue on your computer, but it is definitely teal. All right, you want to see what we did? Here you go. Here's what it looks like when you make a quote-unquote illusion design. It is filling in the gaps. Because I filled in the gaps, there's no real straight line for your eye to follow. Your eye is going to follow down, and it's going to do what it needs to do. I'm going to kind of step back here too. All right. So it's going to create that illusion that is kind of in a full bleed. I left the white background. Now, if you want a black background, again, my suggestion is if you wanted to go more boy colorish, my suggestion would be to fill it in with either watercolor, paint splatters, things that are a little bit more forgiving when you lay it all out. Lightning bolts, again, look at what you're doing and who you're creating it for. See if there's a way in the design that can be broken up into pieces for a successful print and press. Okay, so there you go. That's what it looks like. It's filled in weird spots. Now, could I go in and add a design right in there? Sure I can, right? Is it going to affect the rest of my design? No, because I've double pressed on a couple of these and you had no idea that I did. And the black is still very much a rich black. It did not off gas. Now, I will tell you, because I have been pressing this is, you guys have seen me press this. This did not change in color whatsoever after me double and triple pressing this backside. Does it off gas a little? Yes, it does off gas a little. This is why you want to change your butcher paper out from top and bottom use. I could tell you even on my top piece, that black bled right through my transfer and right onto my butcher paper. This is why I'm very skeptical about people saying, you don't need butcher paper for my paper. Yeah, you do. I've seen way too many problems happen. I want to protect my investment. Butcher paper is very inexpensive. I can shred it and use it as package fill. It'll be colored. It doesn't matter at that point. Just shred it and use it again for packaging. But here you go. That's what the backside looks like that I did on the Condi. And this is what the other side looks like that we just did now. Again, gorgeous, right? This is gorgeous. So here's my tip and thought. Work with a designer who's willing to help you. Work with a designer who is going to sit down and hear you as the client. What do you have in your wheelhouse? Maybe you only have an 8.5 by 14, right? That you can, so let's make it happen. I just make sure that I tell you with that 8.5 by 14, you're going to be doing multiple presses. A lot more than if you had a 13 by 19. We'll have to get creative with your design, and that's fine too. I started out with a 400 and I had a bigger press, which made no sense, right? I had the Sawgrass 400. So I literally had to learn how to piece or create the illusion that I had a bigger print than what I had. That's where the method came in. So I'm I'm going to look at the comments. As a visual learner, I salute you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see what we've got over here. Perfect. So, did that help you is the question. Did I answer the questions for you? Does this make you feel a little bit more successful in what we're working with? You know what? I hope so. I hope you feel uber successful now. You can see that I did it, and look, I'm not frustrated. That was super easy. So let's rewind about what we talked about. Okay, board method. Board method helps for being just an extra set of hands. The one thing you saw me struggle with was that it kept sliding, and I don't have a clip wide enough to be able to go around my heat platen at the bottom. The board allows for you to use the clips. It allows for you to slide it back and forth for an extra set of hands. And as I'm pressing one side, I could slide it over and press the other. I could have it laid out. It just gives me those little bit of extra, it just gives me the extra hands, if you will, right? Lay it all out with the butcher paper, and we're off to the races. Piecing. Piecing doesn't have to be difficult, but it can be. If you're not piecing it correctly by cutting it correctly, lining up correctly, it could be the most frustrating thing, especially when you see the line that happens. So how do you combat that? You create the illusion. The illusion is when you are laying this all out on your platen, okay? I'm creating this illusion that it's all there. Oh, my heat press is very light, so I can do this. Okay. So, when you are laying it out, now you guys can see I intentionally made this one side versus the other. Okay. And kept right on going, right down the line. I could have, move you guys out of my way. Could have just kept running going straight down to make sure that my sassy was all the way down the blanket, but then, or down the towel. But then as you see, I went cross because it was easier for me to work this way and move all the way down the towel. I keep calling it a blanket. All the way down the towel than it was for me to come all the way down this side and then move it over and come all the way to this side. Why? Because I would probably use the board method, right? Again, I created, there's a gap here, but it's a natural gap because there's a natural gap between here and here. I created natural gaps so that it, again, is very successful. I mean, look at the size of that flower. I filled the space of what I was printing within. So, but making sure that it still fit within a 16-inch space because these are two 16 by 16s by approximately 12.5 inches wide. As you can see, as we go further down here, I created this to pop up higher. Why? Because again, it's filling in this space right here, creating it so there's no real line across for somebody to go, oh, that's just stripes, right? We don't want just stripes. We're creating a visual interest by having this design up higher and this one down lower. And it still says Sassy Subber, right? It still reads. So you could put a name here and fill those spaces as long as it fits within the 12 or 13, I should say, 13 by 16 space. I did the 12.5 because I could fit them all the way down my towel. But I hope now that it's laid out, you can see how it's supposed to look. And again, I didn't fight it. I didn't have to piece it, and I really didn't have to use the board method. So this is now sets you up for perfect success. Get with a designer, say, hey, this is what I want to create. Can you help me? Whether it's a baby blanket, whether it's a towel of this size, or maybe it's the towels that are 15 by 25. You guys can create some beautiful pieces of artwork and make it look less of a mess. You could do it for all over t-shirts too. Again, Everybody wants the full color. Well, you can still do the full color of a t-shirt or of a onesie without the struggle. It's just all in how you approach it. So we approached this today, and it was so easy. And look, I did it within an hour. Whoop, whoop, go me. I'm going to check over the comment section and make sure that you guys have anything. I want to be able to answer them. I know you guys are going to ask me right now, Nikki, can I get this design? No. This actually happens to be my brand colors, so I did it because I knew it was going to pop on the camera. I will make more like this, but this design is mine. This is something I created for the Sassy Subber, and that's where it shall stay. But I could definitely create ones that are very similar, just not exact. I hope you understand. They are my brand color. Let me see. Great design tactic. Love it. Awesome. Turned out amazing. It's so much easier the way you've done it. Definitely. Great designs and easier, less stressful methods definitely improve the results. Absolutely. And Bobby, I hope that helped. Bobby is one of those people that are just really kind of diving into the sublimation. And there are some seasoned pros on here too that, like Evelyn, who is over on YouTube. She's like, Nikki, I've been doing this for a lifetime, but I didn't know that. See, we could all learn something. And that was the point of having the SAS, is to show you this and feel successful. With that said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. Thanks, guys, so much for watching. It has been a blast. Look for the new stuff that's coming out this week. I know it's coming. RREM has some more stuff coming. I believe My Sublime Designs also has stuff for me coming. Look for all of that crazy fun stuff. Who knows what will show up at my doorstep. So look for all the great things. Look for my announcement later in this week for just something that I've added into my wheelhouse. And next Sunday, I'm launching the new vendor to the Sassy Nation tribe. So look forward to that. Until next time, I'll see you guys all where, the flip side.